I think the Warriors were probably at least partially aware that they were trading Jonathan Kuminga for nothing more than a salary slot. And that's hard. I get it. With where they allowed it to arrive, but that's tough. People are dealing with this whole, like, are they worse with Draymond or are they better with Draymond? When Steph's out, they have to play in such a style and shoot a lot of threes, and it's just not Draymond's game. And Draymond is known for being smart and therefore elevating a very well-traveled system, but now you have a bunch of people running around out there who aren't doing that. That's not their system. They don't even know what the hell's going on. They're a bunch of babies. And so Draymond is not just rendered insignificant, he's actually a net negative.
Right. Because he's not playing alongside really, really good players, elite players.
They're not playing Warrior basketball anymore.
Right. So
because they're not the Warriors.
But what are they playing? They're playing basketball.
Basketball.
Right.
Not the kind of basketball that helps him.
Certainly. And that's where the whole idea of, just trade Draymond. Well, what if the team plays this way? What other team could really use Draymond Green the way he currently plays? And, he had 7 points, and he was a minus 30 in 24 minutes. That's hard to do.
Yep. But he scolded everybody during a timeout.
Yeah, which is cool.
Which,
And you could see Steph Curry, how frustrated he was. I don't know if you saw those clips.
I don't know if
our station posted
one. Was he
one.
frustrated? Was he dialed out? Was he, sometimes you just freeze and stare at something. I don't know how to read what I saw from that
From
clip.
Steph?
Yeah.
Well, the one clip, he got up and he was like throwing his arms up and then...
No, but when Draymond was going off, he was just sort of like staring at him in this way that I could translate as, this is tiresome, but I could also translate it as, I don't know, he just kind of dialed out. Maybe started meditating. I don't know what the heck he was doing over there. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either. But to me, what I read from that clip was, we're doing this again? I mean, we're back to this? And so Draymond's going off. It's like, all right, I get it. You're frustrated and, you're trying to impart your message, but what are we doing here? Like,
did you really take it that way? That Steph is like annoyed with Draymond?
Not annoyed, but just like, oh, okay. I mean, this again? I don't think that he was like joining in, like, all right, Draymond, let me follow up on that point.
He never does.
Right.
That's not who he is.
I mean, I don't think that he was necessarily like annoyed, but I think that it was like, okay, here we go again. Yeah. More of this. And, you're not playing Steph, and Draymond is, but not well. And no Porzingis for whatever reason. He's sick. And I hope it's not anything like really, really bad, but it probably is something not good, because he never is able to actually play basketball.
Yeah, I think it's obviously something that's really bad. I don't mean this particular illness, but whatever it is that is his deficiency that makes it so that, that's sort of how I translate it. Something that is a general illness for people who are dealing with stuff like that becomes a big deal. And it lasts. And the body doesn't recover. And all of that stuff. This has been over a week now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if he had the flu, that's not usually how long it takes, especially for people with the resources for the absolute best healthcare in the world. That's not usually what happens, but that's what happens with him. So, yeah, it's a big deal. I think the Warriors were probably at least partially aware that they were trading Jonathan Kuminga for nothing more than a salary slot. And that's hard. I get it with where they allowed it to arrive, but that's tough. You want to talk about holding on to an asset for way too long and literally trading something at its absolute lowest possible value. That is what the Warriors did with Jonathan Kuminga, and that is actually the disaster here. Not Steve held him down or Jonathan wouldn't do what Steve said. I'm out on all that stuff. That's the old news. The new news is I think the Warriors traded Jonathan Kuminga simply to get out from underneath his salary.
Yeah, which is to me, that's a loser approach to going about running your business. And we all want to talk about the Steph Curry window, and we got to maximize the Steph Curry window. And then you take a player, Kuminga, who, apparently Atlanta thinks he's pretty good, and he is more than pretty good, but he wouldn't work here. He wouldn't fit here. And so you get to the point where you absolutely have to trade him, and all you get is a number. You get a guy who's 7'3" who plays once, and then you get salary spot for the future. Yep. That to me is what bad teams do. That's not what champions do.
It's exactly what they did with Jordan Poole. It's exactly what they did with Jordan Poole.
But you at least got a player in who played
for a year.
Correct.
Right.
But this guy doesn't play.
Right. But it's all like nobody
and then
ever.
What did they turn that into? The Jordan Poole, the Chris Paul salary slot.
I mean, multiple things, but like nothing that's overly exciting.
Right.
I mean.
So now, you're just kind of left. You're chasing this whole thing, and I get it. And I think you had to kind of go all in on doing this because Steph is getting older. You're not trading him. You have Draymond Green for one more year. And, yeah, you're going to have to double down on veterans and trying to win now. But then you go out and you do this. I would have much rather have Malik Monk than Kristaps Porzingis because he at least plays.
But he was signed beyond this year, and they weren't going to, they weren't going to do that. That was a hard no for them. And that's what I mean. To me, the breadcrumbs all talk about money. It's all about money. I know we want to make it about emotions and minutes and but this is about money. And the Warriors are like, there's no market for him. We're over here fighting with him about food, for God's sakes, which is like the War of the Roses. We can tell that you need a divorce. If you're a basketball player and a basketball team and you're arguing over the food spread, eggs out of a trough, like what on earth? That was the biggest clue of all time. We heard about the story, but we didn't know which player it was. And then it comes out the second he's traded. Oh, by the way, that was JK. It's like if you guys are fighting about that, you legitimately hate each other. And so you got stuck. You waited all the way until this thing had been whittled all the way down to the studs, and then you had no choice but to literally just let him walk out the door for nothing. And all you can do in that situation is get the money.
And try to win the breakup.
Right.
Which is why you leaked the news about the food. And I just was thinking about which one is more of a debacle, the Warriors with Kuminga or the Niners with aiyuk. And that one hasn't been solved yet
because they
still have him on the team as of now until the new league year, and they'll do whatever they do, and they're going to have a dead cap hit that they're going to have to eat and eventually deal with. But I wonder which one's more of a debacle.
It's an interesting question, and there's so many differences because the Niners were able to get some of the money back. The Warriors don't get the money back. That's all you can do is just accelerate it opening up.
Yep.
And I know you could have not picked up Jonathan's player option and just let him walk at the end of the year. That's the same thing, but that would have been even worse PR. That's what's starting to hit me, and that's what I don't like. This is just starting to feel all public relations-ish.
For sure.
And that's the bummer for fans, because that's not what anybody's into. I feel like so many conversations, that's kind of where they end up. And I do believe that the Warriors, Jonathan has been asked to do this, Steve Kerr, a lot of the Warriors. You're asking them to do something that represents them having to do 2 or 3 things at once. Like, you're asking them to carry 3 bags of groceries in from the car and also get the dog. Like, you can't. You can't just center life around Steph Curry and win championships, but also make it all about Jonathan and development. You can't. You can't do it.
And it's hard to just, when Kuminga comes in and Curry goes out, now you're going to run a different offense just all of a sudden while Kuminga's in there. And what about when Curry and Kuminga are both in there and now you're going to run a third different offense? And the other part of this that I think it's hard for people to remember is Steve Kerr won 4 titles coaching this way. Steph Curry is the system, and so when you have Steph, you're going to run it this way. And if they didn't win 4 titles, I bet that they would have run a different system by now. But you run this system because he's the best shooter ever, he's your best player, and it's worked. So all of a sudden now you're going to do something that doesn't work as well. Maybe it'll work, but you don't know. All for Kuminga, it's not the way it goes.
No, I don't find Kristaps Porzingis polarizing. Jonathan Kuminga, to me, is very polarizing.
Yeah, people either think he's great or they think he's not very good.
Kristaps it's completely straightforward. He's a very, very good basketball player. Nobody can argue otherwise. But we're in a mysterious age of whether or not he plays or not. And if he can't play consistently, let's be real, his career is just about over. Like as we stand here right now, if there isn't some level of consistency that he can show that he's ready to be healthy and be a basketball player again, he might be out of the league in a month and a half.
He very well may be. And it's even beyond whatever illness he's fighting or whatever syndrome. If it's POTS, it's not POTS, whatever it is. Look at his career of injuries, actual basketball injuries. That's been a lot longer than just whatever illness he's been fighting right now. So put aside the illness and the syndrome and whatever that is, his whole career has been beset by a ton of injuries.
It has. And I'm always willing to, to whether it's buy low or at least be open-minded to the injury bug sort of taking a different turn, because we've watched that so many times with players. I'm not going to say that past injuries aren't an indicator going forward, especially as you get older, you start favoring one side or whatever. Yes, more injuries can happen, but we've also seen players have poor injury luck and then have it suddenly be great. How about Steph Curry's career? We could start there. He was injury prone once upon a time, and they signed him to a good deal, and he turned out to be the best thing that's ever happened to this entire market in terms of sports, pretty much. So it can always turn. So you're not wrong, but to me, this mystery, and I guess maybe it's not to him or to them, but whether or not you can actually get a handle on this and play consistently in the league is something that I would think he needs to show here in this month of March. And if he doesn't, I honestly don't even know why. I don't know why any team would sign him for anything. I don't even know why you would
you might get the minimum.
Why would you even do that?
Just to have a guy who is so tantalizingly phenomenal when he can play.
Yeah.
And think about De'Anthony Melton and the deal that he signed. He signed for about $3 million because he was coming off multiple ACLs. And so go out there and show us that you can be healthy and you can play. And, well, he has, and he has. And so now Melt is going to go out there in the open market and probably make, 10 or more, 12 million a year, just because he's now showed that he can be healthy so far. And when he plays, he's really a good player. So that's kind of where Porzingis would be, if at all, if he even decides that he wants to still try and do this.